Treasure is found all the time, from ancient artifacts to modern masterpieces, but most of the time they are only discovered after extensive research and exploration by specific people trying to track them down. Occasionally, however, treasures can be found entirely by accident, and in some cases, these are some of the greatest discoveries ever made. Here are the stories of the 10 most incredible treasures ever found by accident. Number 10. The largest pearl in the world. We've all stored objects under our beds at some point, but for a fisherman in the Philippines, there was more than just loose change under his furniture. In 2006, he was on his boat when his anchor got caught in a giant clam. He had to swim down to release it and, in a great twist of fate, found a giant pearl inside it. Thinking it was a good luck charm, he kept it under his bed and didn't think much about it. That was until he needed to move 10 years later and gave the pearl to his aunt. She asked if she could offer it to the town mayor for display, and that's when the extreme value of the discovery came to light. The pearl measures 30 centimeters wide, 70 centimeters long, and weighs an impressive 34 kilos. Further testing is required, but if the pearl truly formed inside a giant clam, it is estimated to be worth almost $100 million. Number 9. Uncle Sam Diamond. The crater of Diamonds State Park in Arkansas attracts visitors from all over the world for one reason. If you're lucky, you might find a diamond. The area's unique geography, combined with sporadic rains, means diamonds often rise to the surface for anyone to find. It's one of the only diamond sites in the world open to the public, and if you find one, it's yours to keep. In total, over 75,000 diamonds are estimated to have been found in the park since 1906, and the most impressive of all became known as the Uncle Sam Diamond. It was found by W.O. Basham in 1924, and weighing in at 40.23 carats, it remains the largest diamond ever found in the United States. In 1971, the cut diamond was sold for the equivalent of $880,000. So, with many more out there to be discovered, it might be time to visit Arkansas. Number 8. The Atari video game burial site. These days, Atari isn't at the top of the list when thinking about major video game developers, but in the 80s, they were at the forefront of the industry. Games like Asteroids and Centipede sold in massive quantities, but there was an urban legend that Atari ended up dumping a large number of cartridges, especially copies of the game E.T., which, after only 34 days of development, is often considered the worst video game in history and a contributing factor to Atari's downfall. Collectors now pay a lot of money for these cartridges. In 2014, Joe Lewandowski, the owner of the waste company that disposed of the cartridges in a landfill in New Mexico, found some old records showing where the games were buried. To prove the legend was true, he invested over $50,000 in the recovery and later managed to sell them worldwide for almost $108,000. Number 7. The Dead Sea Scrolls. There are so many unexplored places in the world that you can never be sure when the next incredible discovery will be made. One of the most important discoveries happened in 1946 near the Dead Sea. Fragments of writing had previously been found throughout the area, but in November of that year, a group of veteran shepherds stumbled upon a cave that contained 7 scrolls inside jars. Further investigations led to a network of caves, each containing similar artifacts that have since become known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's still unclear who made or stored the writings, with the main theory suggesting they belonged to a Jewish sect called the Essenes, who lived near a nearby Qumran. All the texts are religious and have been dated to over 2,000 years ago, written in 4 different languages: Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, and Nabatean. Most significantly, they are by far the oldest Hebrew manuscripts of the Bible ever found, and there are suspicions that many more still await to be unearthed. Number 6, valuable artworks. The next time you're looking through a closet, it's worth keeping an eye out for something unusual because you might be holding something worth far more than you could imagine. Forgotten artworks are often found this way and have the potential to change your life. In 2016, a French family was doing renovation work on their leaky roof. While moving objects out of the attic, they found a painting by Caravaggio thought to be worth $150 million. This painting, called Judith Beheading Holofernes, was one of the artist's most important works, and the discovery was described as a significant event in European art history. Elsewhere in 1999, the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston paid $1.25 million for magnolias on gold velvet cloth by Martin Johnson Head, a 19th century artist. This particular painting had been used to cover a hole in a contractor's house, and he only realized it might be valuable when playing the board game Masterpiece, which featured an image of it. After doing some research, the sale happened quickly, and he was finally able to properly cover the hole in the wall. Number 5, the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is one of the most important artifacts ever found and was crucial in learning to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs at the end of the ancient Egyptian empire. Greek was the language spoken by the elite in society, and Ptolemy V commissioned the stone as a piece of political propaganda written in both Greek and Egyptian. After the fall of the Egyptians, the stone was buried, and it wasn't rediscovered until 1799 during the Napoleonic Wars. It was found during the restoration of an old fort near the small town of Rosetta, where it got its name. Initially, it wasn't clear how significant the discovery was, but scholars began studying the inscriptions in 1814, and soon they started to unlock the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Number 4, the Chinese bowl. Garage sales are another place where valuable items can be found, and a New York family struck gold in 2007. They were looking for a bowl to place on their fireplace as decoration and paid $3 for one with a Chinese design that was just over 12 centimeters in diameter. Curious about its origin, they consulted experts and soon discovered that it was a 1,000-year-old ding bowl from the Northern Song dynasty. The only other known example had been on display at the British Museum for over 60 years. It featured a fine white body with an ivory-colored glaze and was a beautiful example of the era's ceramics. The family took it to Sotheby's auction house with an estimate of up to $300,000, but it ended up selling for a whopping $2 million after a Chinese antiquities collector outbid several other interested buyers. Number 3, secret comic book collection. In 2011, Michael Rohrer from Virginia began the task of clearing out the house of his late great-aunt. It was a difficult time for him, but as he went through her belongings, he made a spectacular discovery, a collection of more than 345 comic books. It was an incredible treasure his great-uncle had amassed, and it included rarities like Action Comics #1, featuring the first appearance of Superman, and Batman #1 from 1940. Within the collection were 44 of Overstreet's comic book price guides, listing the top 100 Golden Age comic books from the late 1930s and 1940s. Being an avid fan, he read those that caught his interest and then put them all up for sale. Most of them sold almost immediately, some for as much as $523,000, and in total, the entire collection raised about $3.5 million. Number 2. The Terracotta Army. Farmers from the small village of Xinjiang in China were out one day in 1974 when they accidentally discovered one of the most important archaeological finds in history. They were trying to dig a water well, and on the 5th day of work, their digger pulled up a life-size terracotta warrior. They thought it was a ceramic god, so they kept digging and found more artifacts like bronze arrows and pieces of additional warriors. It was at this point that the discovery was reported to local authorities, and large-scale excavations began. Since then, a total of 3 pits have been uncovered as part of a massive necropolis, and over 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, and 670 horses are estimated to be there. Though most remain buried due to the risk of damaging them, it is believed that they were made around 2,000 years ago and represent the armies of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. The area is now a World Heritage Site, and it's still not fully clear how large the collection is or the true purpose behind the life-sized statues. Number 1. Hanumandoka Palace Treasure. In 2011, workers began renovations at Hanumandoka, a 16th century royal palace in Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. The dilapidated building was in urgent need of restoration work, but no one could have anticipated what would be discovered. The palace covers an area of over 5 acres, and while inspecting the foundations, workers found 3 treasure chests hidden within a storage room. In total, the treasure weighed more than 300 kilograms and contained coins and ornaments offered in tribute to the gods. When the first chest was opened, gold and silver valued at about $233,334 were found, while the other 2 were kept for future investigations. The site is rich with history, and it is believed that there may be even more secrets waiting to be uncovered. All over the location, there are various treasure houses that have yet to be opened due to their fragile state. They remain shrouded in mystery and could contain priceless treasures. Once they are finally explored, ongoing political challenges in the region have made the process difficult, but efforts continue in the hope of fully understanding what lies within.